45 minutes ish.
Okay.
If it's less, that's fine.
Okay.
Sometimes people have questions, sometimes they don't. So,
Thank you for this.
dude, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for doing this for me. So, I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy.
Getting busier.
That's good. Awesome.
Are we going to see all the people, or will we know when they're there?
No, we won't see them.
Okay.
We won't, but
Oh, it does say there's 5 people. I got it.
yeah, and we're pushing to Facebook and YouTube, a couple other places, live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So we should be good there. So got about 3 more minutes before we get rolling. Oh, Carly's here. Terry's here. Hey, y'all.
Know those people.
Anything exciting going on in your world, John? Besides busy meetings and stuff?
Besides work or personal?
Either.
Yeah. Today's kind of the last thing for my oldest daughter for college, for high school sports. So she's going on to play in college, and today they do the high school celebrates that. We've already celebrated signing them up. So yeah, a couple of hours we go into the high school and she'll be getting a plaque and all those things. So that's a big day for us.
Sweet.
So that's a big thing personally. That's
awesome.
We're a softball family. That's what we do every non-working moment.
Well, yeah, we have some good friends who are softball family, and it's all weekend long. Like leaving the house at 6 a.m., getting back at 1 a.m. kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then getting up and doing it again the next day.
They're like, yeah, we played 12 games yesterday, and then we got a 30-game tournament tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I got both kids doing it. So, you're at one watching the other and vice versa. So that's a lot of fun.
I don't mean to brag, but we're getting a new toilet today. So
ooh, fancy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Is it the gold one you always wanted? Or?
It's close. It's platinum. Seat warmers, the works. No, it's like everything just started breaking in our house. That's we've had to do the septic tank and toilet. All the toilets are leaking and stuff. I guess our house was built in 06, 04, 05, somewhere around there. So it's about time for everything to stop working.
So in my corporate career, we had a business partner. Grandfather started a business, father grew the business, grandson was now running the business. It was several $100 million business because it was privately owned up in Wisconsin. Like the president's office was like 70 by 70 with a full bar and a pool table and couches, right? It was built during the 60s and 70s. And the bathroom literally had a throne.
Had a throne.
A throne.
Literally.
As a throne.
Wow. You should really post if you should find pictures.
I was thinking about that. I probably have.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
I don't know if this is the way you want to start your webinar with this conversation.
Talking about toilets. Well, it is 11, so we'll go ahead and fire things up. So thanks for being here, John. Thank you, everybody who's joining us on Zoom and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and wherever else. Alex has got this thing streaming. So thank you all for being here. I'm John O'Long, and I am the owner here at Social Sphere Media. And we build websites and do search engine optimization, manage social media, and do Google ads. And so normally on our podcast, our webinars, we talk about those things, but wanted to do something a little bit different this month and invite my friend John Davis on. He from Davis Business Coaching, and we have gotten to know each other through the Walton County Chamber of Commerce. We've got a pretty active, awesome local chamber here. And so we met there, and we've started working together on some projects. We work on his social media. We've got some mutual connections, and just a bunch of good stuff. I've enjoyed getting to know John. And I think today's going to be good because if you're a business owner, or you're even just have a life at all, I think time management is tricky. And I spend a lot of my time just kind of running around putting out fires. And John has a really cool way of connecting our time to our business goals. And so I'm excited for us to hear all about that. And so I invited him here, and actually just did it so that I wouldn't have to pay for a coaching session. This was just kind of a trick to get an hour of your time.
I could still send a bill.
You can send a bill, send all you want. So anyway, John, tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, and anything else you want to tell us. And then let's jump into what you're going to share with us.
Yeah, thanks, John. I really thank you for having me. It's, like I said, it's been really cool getting to know people in and around the community. I don't want to go too deep, but I'm a business coach with Action Coach. I've been doing it about a year and a half. Action Coach is a global company. We're in 70 countries, got 1,000 coaches around the world that lean on and support one another. Prior to that, I spent 26 years out in the corporate space. I'm an engineer who could talk to people just enough that they put me in front of customers. So I became marketing, product strategy, business strategy. And in 2020, I was part of the Great Resignation. I was like, I need to do something else. It wasn't fulfilling. So I found business coaching. And I said, hey, this is something I can do, and I know I'm going to love it. Actually, yesterday, I think I had my best day ever of just wall-to-wall coaching sessions, and it was so rewarding. It was cool, and the cool thing was when I did it. If anyone out here has gone from corporate to entrepreneur, you think you're going out there all alone, and you're going to be alone. And then the cool thing is you meet everybody else who's out in that space, and you're not alone. You meet people like yourself, right? You meet the people that I can see on the attendee list that I know, and you realize it's just a different team. You build a team of people that you work with, and a community that you can rely on, in some extent, even better than the people you worked with in the corporate space, because there's more motivation, more focus, and a lot more clarity in objectives. So that's a little bit about Action Coach. It's a little bit about me, and just very grateful to meet you and get this opportunity to share some things that we've learned.
Awesome. Just, and not to just throw you a curveball here, just out of curiosity, what's your favorite book, or what's the best business book you've read recently, or are reading, or have ever read?
The best? Wow. It depends on the topic. For what I do, I love the book E-Myth.
Yeah.
About building your franchise prototype. It really is the essence of what we do. I just rattle off a couple others because I can't stick with one. I'm going to overachieve. If you're talking about selling and you have complex things, I love the book Spin Selling by Neil Rockman. I'm reading two right now. I'm not done, but I can already tell they're going to be great. One is Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey.
Okay.
And it's about how trust can increase the growth of your business and inside the business. And another one that's not highly well known, he's actually a sports guy. He's a pitching coach, and he's in our community, Dr. Jack Llewellyn. And it's called Get the Mud Out of the Water. And it's all about the things we say in our head. And so much as business owners, we focus on our liabilities and our challenges. And this is more about goals and what are your assets and leveraging those assets. So you asked for one, I gave you four that are top of mind. But
hey, that works. I'm always looking for good book recommendations. And I'm in the middle of reading Never Lose Another Customer. Not because we're losing customers, not because I'm panicked, like, oh no.
You just don't want to.
But it was recommended by someone, and it's really great. It's really more just about making your client experience awesome, especially that first 90 days when you've got a new client, new customer, and just kind of blowing their mind with how awesome you are. And because really a lot of whether or not they're going to stick with you, a lot of that's determined in those first 90 days or so. But anyway, so yeah, again, my struggle, I have had to learn to manage my time. I'm not there yet. I get distracted easily. I don't think it's I don't know. Everybody's like, well, I'm ADD. I'm ADD. I don't think I'm ADD. I just think I've got a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of balls in the air, right?
And yeah, and I'm a fairly decent delegator, but there's just still a lot of things that only I can do. And I've tried lots of different things. I've gone from a paper calendar to a Google calendar, and you know, I even stopped creating to-do lists for a while, and every to-do became a calendar item, and then I just found myself moving them later and later and later. And you know, now I use a few different tools, but anyway, I'm excited to hear what you've got to say about time management, and so I'm just going to be quiet, and I'll probably interrupt you with some questions, but I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah, I love the interruptions, and I'm totally ad-libbing right out of the gate. I don't know what you can see on the screen, but I just thought of something that would be helpful. I just have to find the slide, but I can't find it, so I'm just going to talk to it.
Go for it.
So some things to think about with your time, even before I get into what I brought here, is, you know, there's things you work on. They're urgent. They have some level of urgency, and they have some level of importance, right? There's things that we do that are not urgent and not important, but we still find ourselves doing them. And that's, I guess you could call that procrastination, right?
Well, they're easier to check off. You know, they're probably easier things to check off the list, and we can feel like we accomplished something.
They feel good, right? And it's good to have those things, because sometimes they're cluttering your brain, and there's a thing of just get it out of your mind, just like the Dave Ramsey, some debt things, just pay them off, get them done.
Yeah.
So that's not urgent, not important. And then you've got urgent and not important. The last 2 days, my daughter's asked me to take her guitar up to the school because she kept forgetting to take it with her. That was urgent, but it wasn't really important, at least not to me. So right. You have to recognize those things for what they are, and you have to decide, you know, are you going to do them? And you have to put some account for that when you're putting together your calendar. You have to realize those things are going to come up, and you have to build in a little bit of extra capacity. And then you've got, let's see, I said not urgent, not important, urgent, not important. And then the flip side is not urgent, but important, right? Yeah. And that's where you are really working on your business. That's the 20% of your time you're setting aside to really grow your business. And then you have your urgent and important, and that's the daily tasks, calling customers, fulfilling the operations. And that's really where you're going to work on a lot of your core practices, spend a lot of your time. But the key is to find the things that are very important, but not urgent. Then that's like your strategic planning, changing your systems, improving your processes, brainstorming your marketing, making sure you put time aside to do that. And that's where this exercise comes in, is to understand what the value of your time and how you use it. And this is really more of a tool to use that I put together in the spreadsheet. So all things aside, have you ever heard of DISC, Jono?
I have. I can't remember if I've taken that assessment. I've taken a million of them. Is that the one where it's like you're a lion or a ox?
No, that's the other one that's very popular right now, and it just escaped me. Enneagram. I think that's Enneagram.
Well, no, the Enneagram's like 1 through 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
And I'm a 6, which is it's called the loyalist, but then you read the description and it's like, you worry about everything. You are a worst case scenario person. You're miserable. Like, it's like, okay, cool. 6 is the worst. So anyway, right. I can't remember the one. I know one of the churches I served on staff at, they made me take the one where, you know, they're like, you're an otter. and I never knew what that meant.
I've heard of
so.
that one. I haven't done it. But DISC is you're either more outgoing or you're more reserved.
Okay.
Right. You're going to move. You're going to be proactive. You're going to be the first one to start a conversation, or reserved is you're going to lay back. And then you're either more people oriented, you're more task oriented. So for context, so D is dominant, right? They're a more aggressive, more proactive, but very task oriented. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do these three things, bam, and I'm going to get them done. I is outgoing and people oriented. Those are the people who talk to anybody. We have somebody we know in common. She always says, I'll talk to a doorpost, a railing post, right? She'll talk to a doorknob. She'll just talk to anything. She just loves to talk. S, the reserved people, reserved but people oriented. They really like to be around people, but they don't need to be in the front. They like process. They like some structure. They don't really like change. And then there's C, which is reserved and task oriented, much more analytical. I am a high C, task, and which means I really like spreadsheets. So when you asked for a presentation, I gave you a spreadsheet. I couldn't follow your rules.
Which one is procrastinator? That's
well, they can all have their elements of procrastination. D's will start something and never get it done because they got people to finish it, right? I's are too busy having fun, so they never get started. Everybody can be a procrastinator.
Gotcha.
A C likes to procrastinate by analyzing the crap out of it. Ready, aim, and it's never do anything. Right?
Kind of paralysis by analysis type deal.
They can all be procrastinators, but it's for different reasons. So anyway, so I put this spreadsheet together, and this is just a summary sheet, right? So the most important thing is to understand the dollar value of your time. Many times we waste time and man, that was a waste of 15 minutes, right? Or you call customer service and they put you on hold and you're sitting there for 20 minutes doing whatever. You're like, man, you just wasted my time. But if you know the dollar value, it becomes a whole other level of urgency, right? Even though you can have an unlimited amount of money, if you do the right things, you have a limit. We all have a limited amount of time in life, but we all react to the dollar figure differently. So that's why I like to put a dollar figure on your time. And then we're going to talk about understanding how you spend your time, measuring it, reviewing it, and then ways that we can optimize that investment and some of the things that you're going to do. Things you're going to stop doing, things you're going to delegate, things you're going to outsource. You're going to get better at it through training, and then you're going to enjoy your life. So those are kind of the 5 steps, if you will, that I'm sharing on this.
Cool.
So first, I'm going to go into knowing your dollar value of your time. This exercise is, I really like this exercise. Now I have to keep it consistent. I filled in the numbers, but we can calculate it all we want. But so in this business, I have a hypothetical business owner who's running a business that's $2 million a year. Okay. Your business could be 10, it could be 10 million, it could be 200,000. And I like to put this in terms of your goal. Like if you want to be at 2 million.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is how many hours a week do you want to work? Right. So I used 40 as our normal life, but I have a client who only wants to work 25 hours a week. Okay, great. Put that in there. Right. And how many weeks a year you want to work? So I did 50, 2 weeks vacation. But let's say you're like, no, in my business, I'm going to take 6 weeks of vacation. Right. Okay. Well, then you're going to work 46. Right. And let's say you want $2 million business, you're only going to work 30 hours a week and you're going to work 46 a year. Right. That means you're working 1,380 hours. And what that means is you're responsible for creating $1,449 for every hour you work. That's the value. Because even if you're not doing selling or you're not doing all the production, everything happens under you as the owner. That's the value of your time. So I'm going to keep the math simple. So I'm going to change this back. In this case, it's $1,000 an hour or $17 a minute. So if there's any business owner out there who has a $2 million business that works 40 hours in 50 weeks, you have just spent, 15 minutes with us. You've spent some money with us already. So hopefully you're getting value out of it.
Everybody is losing $1,000 by coming to this.
That's the way you want to pitch it.
This costs you $1,000. Thanks for being here.
But it sets your brain for, if I'm going to do this, I got to get something out of it. If I'm going to a networking event, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. Understand the value of your time. The next thing is, now some people may hate this, but it goes into the, well, you may not like doing it, but if it's important for your business, then you should do it or figure out how to do it. And there's
Oh
ways
yeah,
to
just looking at that already stresses me out.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. There are people, there's apps out there. One of my clients uses an app called Toggl, Toggl.
Yeah, our team uses that. Yeah.
Okay. You can use it for billing, but you can also use it for measurement. You don't have to do it this way. Okay. But the output is eventually the same. You're basically logging what you do. Now, you can log it by the hour. You can log it by the quarter hour, by half hour, by quarter hour, by 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or you can do it by minute. The more discreet you're going to be, the more accurate it's going to be. And depending upon your nature and how quickly you can do it, it can be a non-issue, right? And I was amazed when I started doing this, how many things I do. I think it takes me 15 minutes to do it. And I go do it and I log it. I'm like, wow, it took me 6 minutes. Right? Like things have compressed by measuring it tighter. I get more things done. Now, it could just be maybe I'm bouncing around, like you said, from thing to thing to thing, but you realize some things don't take 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I have tracked my time. Of course, I did it old school, which I normally don't, but just for a week, I just tracked everything I did. And because I wanted to figure out, okay, what am I doing that someone else could do? I just want a list of, I wanted to figure out how many hours. And it turned out there was about 21 hours worth of things that someone else could do. And so,
yep. You're getting right to the punchline. Yep.
I did figure out though, that I think tracking it may have sped me up. It kept, some of it helped me stopped me from procrastinating. I think just because I knew I was writing it down and it was going to be embarrassing to write down, like went and made another sandwich.
Exactly.
Like 30 minutes after I'd written that down the first time, so there's accountability in that too. So I even though spreadsheets stress me a little bit, I know this is good stuff.
You can do it by paper, right? If you don't want to do that, if your job doesn't allow you to do this, you're driving all over the place. It doesn't make sense. You can do it after the fact by memory, but some sort of electronic app helps you measure a lot more. And I'll show you how I do that. I do a lot of my work sitting right here. So it's just, Alt Tab, enter the task, move on to the next one. But anyway, so you enter in all the different things that you do, but you can see, okay, I spent half, in this model, someone spent half an hour getting ready to work with a client. It's $500, right? So you got to think about in this model, right? It's $500. So what I do then, and again, I am a spreadsheet nerd. Not everybody is, but I'll help you with this. I can send it to you. You can turn it into a table. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And this is where a non-paper system is very helpful. An electronic system is I can summarize and go, okay, I spent, not I spent, this is not my model. Somebody spent $1,750 with clients. They spent $1,300 doing email.
Wow.
$1,000 making their sandwiches for lunch, right?
Working this is a month.
Well, in this model, remember this person's $2 million. They're worth $1,000 an hour. But yeah, right. This is, and I didn't fill the whole thing up. I mean, at
that point, it's worth paying someone to check your email for you.
Exactly. So you do all this. Some of it jumps off the table at you, right? It jumps off the page at you. And right away you get better at it. Have you ever heard what gets measured improves?
Yeah, I haven't written. Well, you can't see it right here, I don't think. But on my dry erase board, I have what gets measured gets done. Is
that too? Yeah,
what I've heard. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Same thing. Even just doing a tally of sales for the month. Like you ever buy a car and you're sitting in the sales manager's office waiting for that final negotiation. There's some whiteboard where they're counting. You can see the count of cars they sold that month.
Oh yeah,
it's visual. They see it. Yeah. You measure it. It gets better. Same thing here. And you also realize, oh my God, the second most thing I do is email. I need to be smarter about my email. Or I maybe need to do it, but now you start thinking about when you do it.
Right.
So the next step I do, and you can do it a couple different ways, is then you rate those things on your the skill level and the fun, the enjoyment you get out of it. Because there's things that I like to do that you may hate, right? It's got to be whether it's enjoyable for me. Now, skill can be two different ways. Is it a high skill task, or do I have the skills to do it? Right. So you can put either hat on there depending upon what it is. Usually they're closely aligned. But there are high skill tasks, or there are tasks that my skill is low or not sufficient. Social media, right? And that's why I contracted with you, right, to do my social media. Because do I enjoy it? Yeah, but it's a little bit of a burden. And can I do it as efficient as you can? No, it's more efficient for me to outsource my time for social media. So you go through and you rank these things. Client meetings, that's high skill. In my world, I enjoy doing client meetings. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Email, not really low skill. And it's really not a lot of fun. Now, some people like to get lost in there. Lunch, I didn't rate that, but wait a minute, that's $1,000 on lunches.
I am very skilled at lunch, and it is very fun.
Okay, well, you could
that goes in the high box, man. That goes in the high box.
You can rate it if you wish. Your website, that's a pretty high skill activity, and managing maybe low. Client prep, social media, whatever it is, create advertising. Create advertising, that's low skill for me. I could probably have fun doing it, but it doesn't mean I'm great at it. Right? Printing flyers, managing your receivables, training people, driving. I'll tell you this right now, I spend 10% of my week driving. And that is an eye opener because it makes you get very efficient about where you're driving and what you're doing. Yeah. Personal stuff, invoicing, whatever. So these are different things. Then you throw it into this matrix here: skill, high and low, fun, high and low. Just drop those tasks in those different boxes. And you can see what I put on here. So in this case, client meetings and training, high skill, high fun for this individual. Well, do more of it. That's your sweet spot. That's where you thrive. Now, if it's a lot of time, you can still look at ways to be more efficient with it, right? That's the next piece. More efficient with time blocking, calendar blocking, skills like that, automation, processes. Maybe there's some components of it that you can still delegate, but you own that task. That's your sweet spot. Doesn't mean you're not efficient, but that's where you focus. And depending upon the size of your business and the size of your staff, you start looking at the things you're not going to do. So in this area of low skill, low fun, in this example, emails, printing flyers, receivables, invoicing, cold calling, mailing, stop doing them and delegate. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur who's in month number 3, depending upon your resources, you probably have to do a lot of these things.
Right.
But the other thing is you realize the other key component is when you do them, depending upon what your business is. A lot of businesses have a prime time, right? My business prime time is 9 to 5. I coach businesses. So I coach other business owners during that time. I can talk to a business owner at 9 at night, but it's probably not prime time. So some of these tasks, you say, okay, I'm going to do it not in prime time hours. But the things that are low skill, low fun, get them off your plate as quick as you can. Right? Things that are not fun but are high skill, outsource them. Right? In this example, website, I don't know that you can really outsource client prep, but it may fall in that category, but recognize that's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
That sounds bad, necessary evil. I don't mean to say it's evil to prepare for clients, but you get the analogy.
Right.
But social media, there's other people that can do it better for you. And here's the thing. Your barometer on this is, can you find someone to do it for less than $1,000 an hour?
Right.
In this model, right? Can you hire somebody, and actually you could, I put it as outsource, you can delegate as well. You can, if you're big enough, you can hire a social media person, but you have to look at their time value. No offense. I didn't mean to step on your toes there, John.
Yeah.
But you get the point, right?
Right.
And then the things that are high fun for you, but maybe you're low skill, right? You can work on some training, right? If you really want to do the advertising, Okay, well, how can you improve your skills at it, right? Or how can you supplement what you're doing, or you can outsource.
Do you find guys have a hard time giving that up? The things
Yeah,
that they enjoy, but really someone else should and could be doing?
absolutely. I yeah, well, I have a perfect example. Protect the innocent here, and it's not just maybe that they enjoy doing it, but also they think that they are the only ones that can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So I do that.
Yeah.
I've justified
They think
several
it's
things.
this. They think it's this high skill thing that nobody else can do. And when I was talking to this client yesterday, I'm like, well, what do you have to do to get that done? Like, we got this thing 80% done. Let's get it done. Well, I just need to spend some time with it. But it was going to take them an hour or so mentally. And I was like, well, you have somebody on your staff that could probably get that thing about 80% the way you want it, right? Well, yeah. And I'm like, it kind of fits their job description. You might not do it perfectly the way you want it, but why not get her to do it, to do the bulk of the work, create a good version, a first draft, and then now you just come in and tweak. So instead of thinking I have to do it for an hour and a half, I own this thing, spend 2 minutes, communicate to somebody, let them get a bulk of the work, spend another 10 minutes reviewing it. They update the work, they finish the work, and you're done. Right? You cut it from an hour and a half and you're not doing it because of whatever, and let someone else get it done. If they can do it 80% as good as what you can do, then for less than you, by all means, delegate it.
Got it. Good stuff.
So that's kind of the concept is, and then it's working off the list, right? What we do is we work down the list and say, okay, how can I get more efficient? How can I stop doing it? Who can I give it to? And then part of being efficient with it is time blocking. That's a really big thing. So an example of that is, and I can only speak for myself right now, it's top of my mind, is I try to put my client days on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Right? I'm sure you're running a lot, and Thursday's a networking day for me, and Friday's a catch-all day where I work on finance and marketing. And in doing so, I'm in a certain mode. So it's client, or it's okay, we're doing all the financials before the weekend, or whatever it may be. Time blocking is a huge element of it, and sticking to your calendar.
So how do you deal with the fires that pop up that need putting out while it's a time blocking day? It's which, speaking of time blocking, and this is where I do get distracted. I found this handy dandy little, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's called the Time Box. I found it on Amazon, and it's just got blocks, 30-minute blocks. And so it's, every night at the end of the day, I go through and kind of plan out tomorrow's stuff that I've got to do. But I haven't done what you're saying, with the exception of like Mondays. We don't do meetings on Mondays. Mondays is kind of our catch up day. And so, but even when I've said,
you have distractions, right?
No meetings on Mondays, or, Tuesday is kind of team day and training day and meet with the team day. The email from the client comes in is, hey, I need this, the stuff pops up, and that's the stuff that gets me.
Yeah. Well, so I think there's a couple different things. So time blocking, you kind of have a master calendar, and then you have what you made for that day. First thing is, when that thing comes in, is it more important and urgent than what you're doing? So by having identified where your best skills are and the value of your time, and it comes in, the first thing is to filter out, do you really need to react or not? Right? That's the first thing to assess. Okay, does it really need to be done in the next 5 minutes, or can it be done in an hour? The next thing I like to do too, when you time block, is you can put in capacity. So a great way to put in capacity is your meetings are 50 minutes long or 45 minutes long, right? Mm-hmm. And stick to it. Or it's a 10-minute timeline, or just flat out give yourself 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon that are open. And if an urgency, You don't want to just be reactive, but building capacity for those things. And if you don't need it, you can pull something forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just start early on the next thing. And
that's a good point, because I think the way I'm wired is I want to fill up every block and get, be the most efficient I can. And then, something pops up that, 10:30 a.m. that is something that does have to be dealt with. It is kind of urgent after I've assessed it. And let's assume this is actually urgent. But then now, you've thrown off the rest of the day, which is really aggravating when you're doing it by pen and paper, because now I've got to go scratch a million things out, that irks me. But that idea of leaving some margin there, that's good.
And capacity, right? Morning, afternoon. Know what things are high mental requirements. Put them in the morning if you can, because we're all fresher in the morning. Even if you're not a morning person, I am not a morning person, but I'm still way fresher at 2 o'clock or at 10 o'clock than I am at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person either. I'm kind of a 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. person.
Right. Yes. I'm right there with you.
Before and after that, leave me alone.
Which is when you do your lunch. So you get.
Exactly. I'm a lunch guy. What's
my biggest asset? But the other thing too is by being diligent about your time and measuring it. When you say, okay, this takes priority, there's two things you can do. One is you can just do it and leave your calendar the way it is and never adjust it. The other is actually move it. Like, okay, I'm not going to do this for the next hour because I have to deal with this crisis. I'm gonna take care of that tomorrow morning, and I got to move on. Now, you may not be able to do it in the minute if it's a real fire, but recognize that you didn't do that and reaccount for that time in some fashion.
Yeah, gotcha.
Schedule it. Don't skip it.
I know and I'm probably a little bit different than everybody. If you go back to the Enneagram 6s, we're worriers. I could worry before I could walk. I was raised by my grandmother who was a worrier, so my natural inclination when a fire pops up is, I just got to deal with that right now, or somebody's going to be unhappy with me, and I put the stuff that is important to the side. But what I have found in time blocking and evaluating these things is it does bring some peace knowing that I've got, this fire popped up, but it can wait. I've got 3 to 4 left open with some margin there, with some time, some extra capacity. And I know that this thing can wait until 3. And so I'm going to put it there. And so if you are a chronic stressor, which I'm working on, but I know that does bring the blood pressure down, bring some peace that, hey, there is some time, or even going ahead and putting something, because I'm bad about looking at the to-do list and not doing anything because I can't think about just that one thing. I'm thinking about everything I'm not working on instead of the thing I am working on. My wife's like, why do you do that? Just work on the one thing, check it off, then go to the next thing. I'm like,
eat that frog. Yeah.
That's easy for you to say, but I look at the entire list. And so, the way that I battle that, is no, at least I know that it's scheduled for 2 o'clock today. It is, so there is some planning there, and I can let go of it until 2.
I can take it out of my brain until I have to write. You triggered a couple thoughts in there too. One, brought up a book, Eat That Frog, right? Have you read that one?
What's it? Eat the Frog?
Eat That Frog.
Eat That Frog.
Eat the Frog. So the concept is,
who is that by?
Let's say that who's it by?
I've heard of that.
I want to say Casey.
Or maybe I'm thinking, Where's My Cheese?
Yeah, well,
that's another goofy name.
Yeah, hold on, I'll find it. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy.
Okay.
So the concept is there's like 21 chapters of the books, but I think it's the same chapter over and over. If you have to eat a frog every day, now I know some people like frog legs, but if you had to eat a frog every day, the most disgusting, horrible frog you had to eat, Would you rather do it in the morning or at 11:59 at night? Right. So some people say, well, I'm going to, for 11:59, I want to put that off as long as possible. But all day long, everything you do, you might be focusing on talking to your client. In the back of your head's like, I got to eat a freaking frog today. Like,
Yes.
and you're not focused on what you're doing because of that. Often in business, the frog is the thing that's most important to what we have to do to succeed. Could be marketing, it could be selling, it could be operations, it could be understanding your money. Every day you have a frog that you have to deal with. Do it first when you're sharpest, when you're brightest, and you're going to have the hardest thing behind you. And the rest of the day is going to be easy.
Oh, that's good.
So get that done first if you can. Now, sometimes we have 8 a.m. appointments or whatever. The other thing that I do that works for me, and I'm working with clients on it, and you talked about preparing your next day, and you may have something like this on that sheet. The day before, what are my goals for tomorrow? I put a comment there for surprises, lessons, and gratitude every day. So I write my goals for tomorrow. Next morning I get up, I review that list. Is it still there? At the end of the day, did I get them done? And you have 20 things in your to-do list, you have 10 things in your to-do list, but did you get those 3 things done? You make a note of what are your surprises, right? Oh my gosh, this customer surprised me with this urgent request and that threw me off. It's a chance to go, is there anything I could have done about that? What can I do differently in my business to minimize those surprises? Or, and that could be in the lessons. And in gratitude is just a good way to be grateful for what you do. But the other thing is when you went through your goals at the end of the day, you had 4 things on there, you got 3 of them done. You know that one there, the one you didn't get done, has to go on tomorrow, or put in the time right now and just bang it out.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
So it bounced around there a little bit, but it's all about getting stuff done. You got to get it done, and you got to make the most of your time to do it.
Well, that's super helpful. Especially, I guess I've heard the eat the frog thing before, but I think logically I could say, oh yeah, I know I should do the tough thing first. But when I'm in it and just the humanness of me wants to put it off and put it off and put it off. And so I'm pretty notorious for that. So that's a good something I need to implement.
So I'm sorry, I'm bouncing all over, but I have another client story. She had somebody who actually she developed a website for him, and he didn't pay her. He owed her like $2,000. Didn't do it. And she was afraid to talk to him. She was carrying this thing around for weeks. And I'm like, so we had a discussion. Well, what's the worst that's going to happen by confronting this guy on his website, on paying for your website? What's the worst thing that's going to happen is he won't pay you. Well, he's already not paying you.
The worst thing is already happening.
Yeah. So, and how long will it take to ask him? 10 minutes. Okay. How long have you been carrying this frog?
Yeah.
Around and stressing over it? Weeks. So would it be worth 10 minutes of pain to get that behind you one way or the other? Yes. We hung up. She called me 15 minutes later. He sent over the money.
Wow.
Like, just you think through, like, well, it doesn't take that long. Like, that's the other part of the granularity of measuring the time. Well, it's going to take me 5 minutes. If it's very, very important, it's 5 minutes. Just do it. It's not going to kill you.
And then now we need a strategy for not starting on a website until we've got 50% of the payment up front.
Yeah, that was the lesson.
There's another life lesson in there. That's and our websites don't go live until you've paid the balance. And the cool thing about being the web guy is that if you stop paying, I can take your website down. That's there's got a lot of there's a lot of leverage there. So
there's a lot of lessons. That's if you build it in and you do it right.
Yeah, right? She really had the power there. So I'm glad she had you to give her that push. That's good. That's really good. Well, if anybody has any questions, definitely drop them in the chat or in the Q&A portion there. This is like I said, I know there's several things that I've got down here that I know I'm walking away with, and I need to spend some time. It's just, again, and this, I feel like a broken record here. It just, and everybody says, you're so busy working in it that it's just hard to work on it. And you're trying to keep your head above water. And I find myself, the time that I could work on it, it's like, okay, emails, we've got the email inbox, beat down, and, the tasks, we're good there. But now it's like, oh, well, you got 4 kids now, and you probably should go be a husband and a dad. And it's like, so then it's that trying to flip the switch and like go engage and be a person and be a family member, versus like, okay, well, now would be some good time where I could actually read and work on the business. So one thing I'm trying to do is just get up earlier and before everybody else is up, because it's quiet, no one's bothering you. And like you said, it's not really prime time. I'm not getting emails from clients at 5:30 a.m. hopefully. Right. And so that's also something that I'm trying to implement. Again, like I said, I'm not a morning person. I'm a lunch person. So that 5:30 that 5:30 is pretty rough. So
I got it. Yeah.
And especially when summer gets here and the kids are not in school, because at least having to take the kids to school, there's some accountability to get up early. But I know it's we got a few more weeks before I'm struggling. So so we'll see.
Getting up when everybody's laying in bed. Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope this helps. It's a lot of different things here, but the biggest thing is know the value of your time.
Yeah.
Know the value of your time. If you don't know the value, you're just wasting it, and it's literally money falling out of your pocket.
Absolutely. Well, that's huge. And so let me just look, if you're watching and you're identifying with this and you're like, oh yeah, that I need some help there. Then reach out to John. What's your email, John? We'll drop your email in the chat there.
Yeah, it's John Davis at actioncoach.com.
Yeah. So reach out to John and at least set up a time and because he's got some good stuff and I think walking through this worksheet with people. Oh, my camera froze there. Hold on. And the guys, it's time to get a new camera. So
yeah, while you're doing it, I threw my phone number in there too. It is a Texas phone number, but I'm here in Georgia. I can talk to people. I work with somebody in Texas. I work with somebody in North Carolina. Right. So don't be afraid of the location. All that.
Yeah, gotcha. So give them a call, shoot them a text, email, and John is a good guy to work with. And I'll tell you, not to throw anybody else under the bus. I know, I was in nonprofit world. I was in church world, church staff for like 20 years. And, but I kind of had this side business, and then it became my full-time deal back in 2020. I guess now that you mentioned it, I guess I was part of the Great Resignation. I didn't really think of it that way till just right this minute. So, anyway, but immediately there was a lot of business coaches that came.
They showed up.
Came out of everywhere. Like, oh, you got a business. I remember feeling like, whoa. Just I don't even know. Why are you hitting me up? And so then I just was like, well, okay, well, I'll ask them questions. And not impressive. So I got to say, John is one of the few business coaches that I've met that I would actually say, you need to call this guy. He can actually help you. And man, I don't recommend hardly anybody to anybody, because it always burns me. And I do not, I want you to trust my advice. And so I'm very very slow to recommend people. And but like I said, John is on the short list of people I would recommend, and I don't just throw that around. So definitely, if you're looking for some help, not just with time managed, but not just with time managed, but anything related. I know, finance, business finances, operations and fulfillment and production, whatever. John is well versed and has a broad range of knowledge. So hit him up. And just
thank you, John. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And quick little plug: if the website and social media or our advertising is one of those things that you're spending a lot of time on, and you're realizing that your time would be more valuable spent elsewhere, definitely hit me up, Jono at socialspheremedia.com, and would love to talk to you about that. We can help with a lot of all things online, and we work really hard. We got a great team, so you schedule a meeting with me there. There's a link, so that'll be my business plug. But John, thank you so much for being with us. Everyone who attended Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, here actually in Zoom, thank you so much for giving us your time and losing almost $1,000 while you sat.
Well, you should have heard a lot more. And I just real quick, I'm going to say, thank you for the opportunity, Jono. But also, I'll give a plug right back. You guys do my social media, and it takes a huge lion share off of my, a big thing off my plate. I try to do some of my social media. I want to keep some of it personal, but I know that if I don't get to it because of whatever, I've still got my bases covered, and you guys are doing it for me, and I get to participate in the creation of that. So big plug to you guys for helping me.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Appreciate it. So we're here for you and anybody who needs our help. So excuse me. All right. Well, again, hope everybody has a great rest of the day. John, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
All right. See you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.